Hey everybody, my name is Lexi Booth, and this is my functional area presentation on orientation at Georgia Southern University. So before we go into the nitty-gritty of orientation here at Georgia Southern, I wanted to touch a little bit on the history of orientation in general. So the first formalized orientation occurred in September 1923 at the University of Maine, and the goal of this program was to address the transition period from high school to college. So the need for this type of program grew out of a study that showed there were significant maladjustment and attrition rates in college students. Students were unlikely to adjust to the college environment, and this made them less likely to stay in the college environment. So the president of the University of Maine at the time took it upon himself to create this freshman week orientation program. However, we would be remiss if we assumed simply because this was the first formalized program, it was the first program. Informal orientations were done by the Young Men's Christian Association, or the YMCA, for about 40 years prior to freshman week at the University of Maine. And this orientation was more focused on the social development that college students needed to kind of assuage that maladjustment issue that was seen. And something that they used to kind of facilitate this process was the YMCA Student Handbook, a handbook that outlined the social rules of college students that was adapted for each college campus. It identified new students, enforced in-group membership for students, and reinforced campus etiquette. It sort of reminds me of a NES Declassified School Survival Guide, but for college students. So now that we've talked a little bit about where orientation comes from, I want to talk about orientation here at Georgia Southern. So our orientation program here at Georgia Southern is called SOAR, Southern's Orientation Advisement and Registration. So for the rest of this presentation, you'll likely hear me say SOAR rather than orientation. Our SOAR program is housed within the Office of New Student and Family Programs that is part of the Office of Admissions. Our orientation team is comprised of not only professional staff members, but also student leaders called SOAR leaders. The professional staff in admissions see a similar starting salary to the rest of the field at about $30,000 a year, while an assistant director can make upwards of $45,000 a year. SOAR leaders are also compensated for the work they do in the spring and the summer for orientation, averaging around $2,000 for their work. All new undergraduate students attend SOAR. That's not just traditional freshmen, but also transfer students. A student is new to Georgia Southern, they go to SOAR. Because the goal of SOAR is to prepare students for success at Georgia Southern so they can soar. So what does a SOAR session look like? So Georgia Southern has a 2-day orientation schedule where on the first day, students are really getting oriented to the campus of SOAR. So they're able to get their Eagle ID card made. They're able to go to a student services browse so they can see the different things offered by the institution. Maybe they can see financial aid if they have a FAFSA question, or if they're really passionate about intramural sports, they can go over to CRI and hear a little about what intramurals are offered here on campus. They're also able to check into their overnight housing and then attend information sessions throughout the day. And these can be more in depth about programs or offices they're interested in getting involved with, or about success as a college student. And now while students are attending information sessions, parents are also attending information sessions, but not the same information sessions. Parents are able to attend sessions about how to best support their new college students during the day. The final presentation that students are able to go to is the Who Will You Be presentation, where the Dean of Students talks about Georgia Southern values, and the SOAR team puts on a sort of artsy performance to enact the realities of college life for students. It's certainly a very memorable presentation. Finally, at the end of the day, students are able to go out to the RAC for first night out, where they're able to interact with their fellow incoming students and some current students of Georgia Southern as well. Day 2 of SOAR is focused predominantly on advisement and registration, the A and the R of SOAR. So students are able to meet with real academic advisors who walk them through what classes they should register for the upcoming fall term, and then students are able to actually go and register for those classes. Finally, at the end of the SOAR session, students are able to tour the on-campus housing facilities that we offer. So they're able to get a better idea of what type of room they may be living in the fall. So that's a little bit about SOAR here at Georgia Southern, just in general. But how does it map onto these CAS standards for orientation programs? There are 12 of them, so bear with me here as I move through them. The first CAS standard is mission. Orientation programs help transition students and prepare them for the rigmarole of college. And in doing this, parents and families are also brought in as a means to support the students. And through those information sessions, students are able to mentally prepare themselves for college while their parents are also mentally preparing to support their new student. Part 2 is program. So orientation programs contribute to formal education in and outside of the classroom by helping prepare students for life not only during college but also post-college. This standard kind of speaks to the fact that orientation programs must be intentionally designed so that they contribute to the positive development of the college student. And again, those resources that those information sessions provide and that students have access to during SOAR can really help with that personal development, The third standard is organization and leadership. In order to do an effective program, you have to be organized, you have to know who to talk to, when to talk to, and someone has to show you how to do that. So if you've ever been to a SOAR session, you can certainly see that those SOAR leaders and the professional staff and admissions certainly always know what's going on. They're able to help you get wherever you need to go because they know exactly what's happening every second of every SOAR day. And it keeps everything on time and very organized throughout that process. Part 4 is human resources. The people that are putting on this event have to be appropriately trained, and certainly they are. The professional staff and the NOTA intern that is brought on in the summer are all individuals that are either currently in or interested in pursuing careers in orientation and student affairs. So they have that inside of the classroom knowledge on the field as well as experience within the field. And SOAR leaders are extensively trained for an entire semester prior to summer orientation happening. Part 5 of these standards is ethics. You have to treat people right, hold yourself to a high standard of integrity, and through open communication and knowing exactly who to go to when something could go wrong or what have you, admissions certainly holds high ethical regard during SOAR. The 6th part is law, policy, and governance. Similar to ethics, Georgia Southern and admissions hold themselves to a high standard of integrity and encourage those who come here for this program to do so as well, following in accordance with any state, local, and federal laws. Part 7 is diversity, equity, and access. Students must be provided with an equitable experience to every other student at SOAR, regardless of any identity they may hold. And again, as these individuals are extensively trained, the SOAR leaders are extensively trained for this position. They are prepared to facilitate any conversations that may need to be had about identity or power or privilege, to provide that quality experience for all of the students. Part 8 of these standards is internal and external relations. The orientation program has to keep a good working relationship with any stakeholders in this process. So that includes new families, students, and campus partners. SOAR is a huge undertaking, and admissions certainly couldn't do it on their own. So they have to ensure positive relationships are maintained so that their campus partners are able to help them create SOAR experiences for students every summer. Part 9, financial resources. You have to have the financial ability to put this event on, and also the ability to use your funds appropriately. And again, as we do hold ourselves to a higher standard of integrity, our Office of Admissions certainly uses their funds appropriately. Part 10 is technology. In the modernized world we live in, it is vital to understand the technological resources that students may need to use while here at Georgia Southern. So like I said, during that registration process, students are walked through how to log into My Georgia Southern and use the WING system, two things that they'll definitely use a lot of while they're here at Georgia Southern. Part 11 is facilities and equipment. You have to have an appropriate space to put on an orientation event. What space is more appropriate than the center of campus, the Russell Student Union? This space is accessible to all folks and also provides a lot of different areas that students and families alike can interact with one another during their SOAR experience. The final standard is assessment. In order to know that the program did what it was supposed to, they have to ask people, did this program do what it was supposed to? So through post-SOAR assessments for new families, new students, and campus partners, SOAR is able to collect that information. So that concludes the presentation. Sorry it ran a little long. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I hope you have a great day.